Sakamoto Days has come back on Netflix recently, so we've all got assassins on the brain, which got me thinking about just how Saitama's true rival, Speed of Sound Sonic, would stack up in the assassination game against some of the most popular and well-known assassin types in anime. Buckle up, hire your bodyguards, and stay out of sight, because Master Ninja Assassin Speed of Sound Sonic is about to slice his way through this tier list of assassins. For clarification, I've tried to limit this list to characters who've specifically done immoral contractual killings or ideological assassinations at some point within their story, rather than just usual bog standard shinobi types. But there might be one or two in here that don't strictly fit that criteria. Our star of the show, Speed of Sound Sonic, who I'll just refer to as Sonic from now on, is a former member of the 44th graduation class from the Ninja Village, an institution created to hone children into deadly killers while secretly testing their compatibility to become minions of a cosmic entity known as God. After its termination, Sonic made his living as an independent assassin within One Punch Man until he finally met Saitama. It's after that where he then spent the majority of his time both training to defeat Saitama and challenging Saitama. While the latter hasn't quite yet worked out for him, the training Sonic has put himself through has improved him into an astonishing adversary within the world of assassination, even across anime as a whole. From his appearances within Season 1, Sonic had already surpassed the Speed of Sound and was operating by the end of that season around massively hypersonic. Entering into Season 2, Sonic then kept up with and eventually overwhelmed the post-G for Genos, who can be scaled to being faster than light due to his dodging of various lasers, which were confirmed to have the properties of light. Whether or not you want to accept that fully, you should at least understand that this means the speed level has rocketed up a notch once more, putting him between massively hypersonic plus to even faster than light by the end of Season 2's events, depending on how you interpret it. Pushing further now past the Monster Association arc, where I'll keep things very vague to avoid meaningful spoilers for those who don't want to know important specifics, Sonic was shown being capable of keeping up with a Flashy Flash who even employed one of his ultimate techniques and claimed Sonic would have been able to land a counterattack if he had went all out sooner. Since Flashy Flash is comfortably faster than light and we've seen how fast he goes, it's clear that Sonic's training, fueled by a driven pursuit of Saitama, has bolstered him to new heights, even to a level where he displayed the ability to create over 30 after images simultaneously through movement alone. This should put current Sonic within the faster than light range, at least as far as power scaling labeling goes, since I know whether fictional characters actually go faster than light or not is a contention point for some people. If you're one of them, then just imagine it as one character being closer to being faster than light than another one when comparing. Attack potency, I'm not going to get too bogged down with. He's a ninja who tries to slice you with a sword at the speed of light, so he's not going to be kicking mountains up for the fun of it. All you have to know for these matchups is that he's capable of harming One Punch Man characters who at least scale from the country level to multi-continental level. That may not be super tight for scaling Sonic specifically, where it could go a little lower or a little higher, but it's good enough for what we've got lined up today. And here's where it gets spiteful for Sonic's opponents today. We know from narrative events that in-character Sonic will have zero hesitation utilizing his speed to enact an instant kill attack upon his enemies when in possession of his regular weapons, as shown by his attempts of killing Saitama and the various beheadings of the Paradises. Unless he knows you well or isn't trying to kill you, Sonic is essentially going to slice you in two as quickly as he can, whether you're aware of his presence or not. This presents the basis of the tiering for today's video. If an assassin cannot reliably react to Sonic, they will simply be defeated on the spot via Sonic's immediate attack or consecutive speed blitz until they can no longer continue. So with that said, let's get the tiering out of the way. Speed blitz indicates that Sonic is simply too fast for them and has either defeated them in one swift move or overwhelmed them with such speed that they could no longer defend themselves. Tricky suggests that the fight is not so straightforward for one reason or another, and I'll likely say why within that section. And finally, we have defeats Sonic, which is pretty self-explanatory. Alright, let the assassination games begin. Hey from Darker Than Black is up first. When I was in my teenage years, I watched this show and, probably like many others who did, thought that Hey was the coolest guy around. With that stylish fit, eye-catching mask, and the way he handles business, he'll always be a legend of the game without a doubt. With incredible fighting skills, genius strategies, and the power to generate and discharge electricity through appropriate objects, it's no wonder this man was dubbed the Black Reaper by fellow contractors for being the smoothest operator. However, even with all of these tricks and skills, there's absolutely no way he manages to see Sonic coming. With his speed usually operating at best around the subsonic ranges in a peak human foundation via moments like deflecting bullets and such being highlights, Hei doesn't even get to try any of his tricks before the fight is over. It's a win for speed alone, with Hei falling into the speed blitz tier since even the weakest version of Sonic is far above this speed level. Moving on to the next guy, and someone who could probably do with a mask, we have Stain from My Hero Academia, and he knows a lot about killing. Get it? Knows? Because of his, forget it. Stain has the ultimate tool in his arsenal to stop a person from moving no matter how fast they may go. Faster than light Sonic, you say? All for nothing if you're paralyzed once Stain is curling his tongue around a blood-stained blade, as if he's trying to appeal to an untapped OnlyFans market. You can't fool me, My Hero Academia fandom. I know there's a small section of you out there who absolutely love this guy. So, if he can get some of Sonic's blood in his mouth after landing a hit, then we can make up a new tier called Staying Alive, right? Not so fast, because Stain himself should sit somewhere around the hypersonic range of speed, going by his scuffle with Ingenium, Deku and Shoto fairly early in the series. This means that he'd struggle to even land on a Season 1 Sonic, let alone the Sonic of today, and that no matter how he tries it, hitting Sonic will only ever happen when his head is on a pillow, his eyes are closed, and he's dreaming about it. Once they engage, Sonic will burst straight into range before Stain can realize what's happening, and as good as he may be, the first slash will finish things in the blink of an eye, which sees the hero hunter Stain fall into the speed blitzed range. Sakamoto from Sakamoto days might be retired and packing some extra pounds, but that doesn't stop him from getting a call up to this tier list. Sakamoto's a man of action and few words, but when your actions are things like blocking bullets with a cough drop, dodging sniper fire, and killing a group of men before they even know what happened, well, who needs words at that point? Sakamoto is so impressive for a hitman that he could even reasonably make it into the A class of One Punch Man's Hero Association if he ever made the switch up. However, while his incredibly stylish speed feats present him around a hypersonic plus range, as you can imagine, the ninja assassin calls himself Saitama rival for a reason. And no, it's not because he can beat Saitama, but because you need to be closer in that direction than the direction of an A class hero to get the drop on speed of Sound Sonic. Even if you took Prime Sakamoto, his speed doesn't change enough to get him out of that range, or at least enough out of it to upgrade into even relativistic territory. So if a Sakamoto at his best were to ever come face to face with Sonic, well, it'd be over in a flash. Speed blitzed for Sakamoto, where he can go back to working the shop if Sonic decides to let a retiree stay retired. Enjoying the video so far? Leave a nice comment, drop a like, and hit the subscribe button. And yes, I do die a little inside every time I have to use the term speed blitzed, but that's the job today. Gabimaru from Hell's Paradise puts his ninja skills to the test. This anime is actually pretty cool and I enjoyed it a bunch, so I'm mainly working off what's out on the animation, but I did do a little extra research while trying to avoid spoilers to ensure I'm giving him the fairest shake I can. This man has some wild durability for his show, often taking things that look like it'll kill him, only to recover from them and then put on a shinobi beatdown to the offender for good measure. However, that party trick won't work too well here when fighting someone like Sonic, who not only can do far more damage than what Gabimaru is used to, but can also do it far quicker too. The ranges for Gabimaru seem to be between supersonic to hypersonic, with one of his cool speed displays being the catching of several arrows at once. But it's needless to say that his durability holding out is the only hope he'll have. Gabimaru does have some neat fire ninpo and naturally holds expert fighting skills, however the fire will not touch Sonic, nor will his hand-to-hand or weapon play be quick enough to Sonic's movements. I do have to add that he is also a master of spacing and positioning, being very good at predicting enemy movements, but this is such a heavy gap of speed that even if he could literally read the future, he would still not react to Sonic in time. Execution comes a lot quicker for Gabimaru, who's going to find out he grew up in the wrong ninja village after a run-in with an assassin of Sonic's level. Speed blitzed for Gabimaru. Alright, I was going to do these next guys individually, but I thought it'd be better to do them together. That's what she said. I'm talking about the Zoldycks from Hunter x Hunter. Killua, Illumi, Silva, and Zeno, in order from youngest to oldest. I know there's a few others in that family, but let's be honest, these are the ones that matter most for this tier list. As far as I remember, the best feat of speed any of these friendly fellows displayed was Killua with Godspeed. This should put him in the massively hypersonic ranges. Again, this might not be super tight speed scaling, but as long as it's close enough, it should be fine, since these only really matter in this situation if they're pushing close to Sonic himself, where it can affect an outcome potentially. With Killua being at that range, the other three should all float around the hypersonic plus ranges too, again with some leeway to go higher I'd imagine, version. All of these guys are very cool, very slick, and very smooth with it, packing some electricity shenanigans to go with their frightening levels of skill and awareness. The problem is, for all of these, that as soon as a fight starts, if Sonic rushes them with his sword, then it is effectively a wrap. None of these high-level assassins can react to Sonic, and if by some miracle they do, they certainly will not keep it up once they intentionally egg Sonic into going even quicker as a result. Given Sonic's power, he could effectively slice clean through any of these fighters in one motion thanks to his speed and attack potency, where his weapons, even back in season 1, were stated to be enough to kill something like Deep Sea King, according to the writer of One Punch Man. The Zoldycks are no joke, and some of the finest assassins around, but when you're training to reach Saitama's level, even the Zoldycks get left behind. Sonic speed blitzes on a day out with any of the Zoldycks. Toji Fushiguro from Jujutsu Kaisen is usually an assassin for sorcerers, but the contract reads Shinobi for today's tier list. I can never forgive this guy for what he did to that girl, so I don't care how cool he is. This guy can get fucked, and he will. Usually scaled at around supersonic plus speeds, Toji is a highly skilled fighter with an amazing strategic brain which combines together to make him capable of taking down even sorcerers themselves. However, even if you were to highball his speed an extra ranking or two if you happen to think it was lower than what it should be, it still puts him in prime time position to get speed blitzed like crazy by Sonic. Like the others, as soon as the contest starts, no matter what preparations or plans Toji has in place, Sonic is simply head, shoulders, arms, legs, and everything else above the sorcerer killer in pure speed, and the force of which will be coming from his katana will be above anything that Toji can handle or even defend against. As expected for someone who relies on his physical abilities and skills, it falls short against someone who trumps him in all of those areas, and any schemes he may have will not be able to make up the difference in raw power. So it's a speed blitz tier for your boy Toji. Yeah, that's right, your boy, not my boy. Now, I know what you're probably thinking by this point. What is Speed or Sound Sonic paying you? And no, I don't have a Speed or Sound Sonic body pillow, so don't bother asking to see mine. It's staying right where it is. I mean, I don't have one to show you in the first place, is what I said. Yes. But anyways, when it comes to the finely tuned occupation of assassins, as you're finding out, Sonic is one hell of a standout for overall ability. With such a massive difference in speed, he can literally kill any of these fellow assassins before they even know what's coming. Such is the level of his mobility. However, this next one takes the assassin occupation to a whole new level of insanity. It's Hit from Dragon Ball Super. I feel like being targeted by a hitman is never something you want, but being targeted by a hitman who can somehow stop time is a completely new level of fucked. I find it hilarious how in another universe, there's a guy who's nearly as powerful as Goku with the ability to move many times faster than light and has the overall capacity to rival even Super Saiyan Blue. Dude, what are you wasting your time being a hitman for? Go be the supreme leader of an entire galaxy or something. What are you skulking around in the shadows for? Anyways, I'm sure none of you need convincing here. So Hit goes in the Speed Blitz section for another easy win for Speed or Sound. Oh wait, hang on a minute. It's the other way around this time. Yes, when you're fast enough, strong enough, and skilled enough to put the work on even Goku himself, not to mention you have the ability to stop time as a bonus, well, I think you've kind of ascended the assassin occupation at that point, and so it's a very simple tiering of Defeat Sonic for Hit the Hitman. But hold it right there, Buster. That doesn't mean there's no assassin in the world of Dragon Ball that Sonic can't get one over on. That's right, Dragon Ball isn't an automatic win in this video, because our ninja assassin may have the minerals for a more classic villain of Akira Toriyama's world, Tao Pi Pi from Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball? They've been blowing the moon up ever since the start of the series. Yeah, well, hold up fella, not this guy. Tao Pi Pi is from the time of Dragon Ball where many other series can still get at these guys, with his movement level predicted around the hypersonic or even hypersonic plus ranges, going by his ability to fight the opponents he did at the time, and also via his ability to ride the flying pillar at 10,000 kilometers per hour. This guy is far and away from the speed he'd need to keep up with the likes of Sonic. So we already know that Sonic can dance around him all day, but can Sonic hurt him? Dragon Ball characters can be weird in the sense that sometimes they take damage from things they shouldn't, while tanking things that defy all logic. But at this stage of the game within Dragon Ball, Tao Pi Pi, while powerful, still managed to be harmed by things when unaware or surprised, since controlling ki in Dragon Ball can relate to your durability, and Tao Pi Pi basically lost against a hand grenade when his plan backfired in his face, a level of damage far beneath that of Sonic. So, with Sonic's speed being overkill, it's very fair to say that he would be able to bypass Tao's defenses with a mixture of speed and surprise. And if he didn't kill him instantly, he'd be able to evade and counter him all day long with his incredibly superior speed until an opening eventually did present itself. But I think that's making it more complicated than it needs to be. Tao is not a busted Dragon Ball character, and Sonic should have this one in the bag, so I'm going to call it Speed Blitzed for the tier list. And finally, last on the list, we have Soi Fon from Bleach. With her, I don't think her occupation entirely fits the bill for this tier list, but we're going to throw her in anyway. I'm going to need to call on you guys in the comments a bit for this one, since I'm not fully updated with Bleach. But from what I gathered without looking too sternly into it, since I'm not trying to spoil any of the most recent Bleach stuff for myself before I get there, I've been able to find that Soi Fon is around massively hypersonic in her speeds. However, from what I know, I've heard Bleach is supposed to be pretty damn cracked currently, and many people say their captains could beat the best S-class heroes. So I'm unsure if Soi Fon's just not included in that context, which would surprise me since she's a Soul Society captain, and from what I'm finding, she doesn't seem to fit that description. With this speed, Sonic is faster than her, and heavily in fact. But again, I haven't looked too in depth because I am trying to avoid spoilers as I'm still catching up with Bleach. I know her damage output will be more than enough to hurt the ninja assassin, but it's mainly the speed that's throwing me off here, since if she's not bordering on faster than light at least, then it's unlikely she's touching Sonic to begin with, regardless of her output. And Sonic should be dangerous enough to harm her in return. With that being said, again, I imagine I'm not getting the full picture here, so I'm going to put Soi Fon in the tricky section, since my perception of Bleach had me assuming this would be a Soi Fon victory, and yet I'm not convinced by what I'm seeing, at least as far as the speed difference goes. So, comment section, give me a hand with this one if you know the full deets, but try to leave spoilers out of it for me, since I am slowly but surely catching up on Bleach. And before I sign off, yes, I know some of you will be asking about Assassination Classroom in the comments. I haven't seen it, and I don't even know what the series looks like in action. Not even a clip, so I can't even wing it in good faith. I will watch it one day though, don't worry, but it just hasn't happened for me yet. So feel free to also let me know in the comments where you'd put the Assassination Classroom folks in this list against Saitama's true rival. Anyways, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, share Saitama World with your One Punch Man buddies, and unless you want Sonic to speed blitz you next, go watch another video on my channel.